Hello everyone, welcome back to JP's Budget Collecting and our weekly look back at the CBSI Hot Top 10 from 6 months ago. This week we're looking back at the Hot Top 10 from December 21st, 2018, and I'm recording this on June 20th, 2019, just so you guys know when this information is the most relevant. As always, this list is about trying to understand what made these books hot and so that we can make better decisions about whether or not to chase the books that make the list going forward. This week's list has a couple of solid first appearances, a couple of hot covers, including one that's just a regular cover that reaches realms that most regular covers don't, unless there's some other key associated with it, which this one doesn't have. And there is only one kind of indie of the moment book on this list, and that's where we'll start. At number 10 is Grumble number 2, the Jenny Frison variant. And you guys all know I love Jenny Frison as an artist. And really this was, if you remember last week, Grumble number 1, the secret variants kind of hit the list. I think that this then immediately came out after everybody got onto those secret variants. Kind of rode their coattails to being a $15 to $20 book week of release. But really, Grumble as a series has not had any legs. And then while this cover is pretty cool, it's not, I wouldn't say it's one of Jenny Frison's best works. As a result, this book is back to being basically a cover to $10 book. And I think it really just has most to do with the series not maintaining any kind of momentum. Next up, at number 9 on the list is Darth Vader, Volume 2, number 25, the 1 in 25 Del Auto variant. And this was just a really hot cover that on a book that was the last book in a series that people loved. If you didn't read this Darth Vader series, or for that matter, the first Darth Vader series, they were fantastic. Some of my favorite reads of the last couple of years, and I would definitely highly recommend them. This book right out of the gate was $35 to $45, so almost double ratio that first week. Since then, it has cooled a little bit, but it's still going pretty strong. Now you can find it more in the $25 to $35 range, so just above ratio. Although most of the listings are still more like $30 to $40. 9/8. There were only 3 slab sales recorded on Go Collect for this book. The first one went at $135 a couple months ago. Then $77 a little over a month ago, and then most recently a couple weeks ago it went for $100. Currently there are no slabs listed of this particular cover, but just a hot Darth Vader cover that was part of the book that was a really good book that ended a really good series. So that is why this book made the list, and that is why it's kind of stayed pretty hot, all things considered, for a 1 in 25 variant. At number 8 on the list, sorry, I got something in my eye there. We have a book that was on the list last week, and that is X-23, number 7, the Deodato variant. Again, this is a book that was the first appearance of the X-Assassin, and also just a really hot cover that was a little bit hard to come by. Not super hard, but a little bit. As we talked about back then, it was, so last week it was going for like $25 to $35 right out of the gate. This week it was up to $35 to $45 dollars for this cover. But now it is mostly in that $15 to $25 range is where it sells, although there are occasionally still outliers that people will pay $30, $35, $40 for it. I think it's really that people aren't doing much searching and doing that, because you can find it listed still in that $20, $25 range, and like I said, occasionally you'll get it down 15. 9.8s for this consistently go in the $80 to $100 range. That seems to be pretty close to where they're at. So that is, again, X-23, number 7, the Deodato variant, making the list for the second week in a row. Up next at number 7 is Adam, Legend of the Blue Marvel, number 1. And this is the first appearance of the Blue Marvel, and if you were like me, I had never even heard of the Blue Marvel until Reggie over at Reggie Simmons, Reggie Collects channel did a video talking about the Blue Marvel. I'd never heard of him before I seen that video. I'm honestly not sure what made this book spike. Maybe it was Reggie making a video. I don't remember the timing exactly on this. But this book, Raw, was going for over $100 back in December. Since then, this book has cooled considerably. I don't know if there are rumors or what. I don't know what caused it to spike, but it has cooled back considerably. Now it's basically been going for $25 to $60 raw. There's a lot of variation in the raw prices. But the asking price for this book is still outrageous. Most of the asking prices for these were $100 plus for raw copies, even though, like I said, they're generally going for $25 to $60, with most of them going for $30 to $40, as seems to be the more consistent price range. But even though lots of books were listed at $100 plus to $200 raw, there was also one listed for $30. So, and it looked like it was very fine near mint. So, not sure why people still think they're going to get that really high price for it, but they're still asking it. 9/8, there's only two 9/8 currently listed. They're asking $745 and $1140. Holy moly. When this book, I couldn't find a sale in the last couple of years for 9/8 for more than $315. Generally, they're going for that $275 to $300 range. Seems to be a fairly consistent price over the last several months for a 9.8. So, yeah, some of the asking prices, we've seen this on lots of books, that the asking, people can ask whatever they want for a comic. Doesn't mean you need to pay it. Do a little research. Always do a little research before you drop that money on something that you want, just to make sure that you're not overpaying. So that is Legend of the Blue Marvel, number 1, first appearance of the Blue Marvel. And number 6 on the list is another book from last week's list, and this is Teen Titans, number 12, first appearance of the Batman Who Laughs. We won't spend a lot of time on this week. Prices haven't really changed from last week. What made it hit the list again was it went from previous week, it hit a high of $300 for a 9.8, and then it jumped to $350 for a 9.8. And the book has continued to kind of, just like I said last week, slowly gain. It's up to, currently it goes for consistently for $350 to $400 for a 9.8. Raws are still going $60 to $100. This is a character DC has pushed since they introduced him about a little over a year ago. He's got his own series, which has got one issue left, I believe. Or mini-series, got one issue left. There's talk that he's going to get another series after that. This whole concept of a cross between Batman and the Joker seems to have hit a chord with people. I don't think the Batman Who Laughs is going anywhere anytime soon. If you've got on this book for cover price or originally, you have done really well for yourself. If not, well, I don't know that it's ever coming down. Just do your best to look for a deal if you really want it. So that is number 6 on the list, Teen Titans, number 12. Another good first appearance at number 5 on the list is Captain America, number 6 from Volume 5, the first appearance of the Winter Soldier. And this is actually the Winter Soldier variant. This, CBSI talked about this being a yo-yo book, that it's went up, it's been down, it's been up, it's been down. And it was back up back in December with Raws going for 80 plus and 9.8 hitting 250 plus. And this is really, I think, about rumors at the time that were leaning toward the Winter Soldier becoming the new Captain America. Everybody was under the impression that Chris Evans was retiring from the Avengers movies, and that a lot of people thought the Shield was going to pass to the Winter Soldier. I still won't give spoilers, although if you haven't seen Endgame by now, I'm not sure what you're doing. But this book has settled back down a little bit. Not a huge yo-yo this time, but Raws are back down in the $40 to $60 range, and that's where listings are as well. Unlike Blue Marvel, people seem to be a little more realistic in their pricing on this book. 9/8s are going currently $200 to $250, so it's come back a little bit, but it's still a pretty solid book. And staying kind of in that range where it was at back in December. At number 4 on the list is we have another MCU kind of first appearance, and this is Black Panther Volume 5, number 5, the first Shuri as Black Panther. And back then, raw copies hit $25 to $40. Now, raws can be found for that $10 to $20 range, although most people are asking more of the $25 to $50 still. kind of range. So they're still asking kind of those December prices, but it's not really going for that. It's going for more of a $10 to $20 fairly consistently. 9.8s are going in the $150 to $200 range, but there hasn't been a lot of sales, just a few, and really that's because listings are still in the $250 plus kind of range. Again, people can ask what they want. Be patient. You can get this book for less than what they're currently asking it for in most cases. Next up at number 3 on the list is that cover that keeps going, I guess is the way to put it. This is, not a low print run comic. It's not a exclusive variant or hard to find variant. This is the main cover, and that is Detective Comics 880, that classic Jock Joker cover. Back in December, this book was going crazy. 9.8 hit $900 for this cover, which is just tells me I will never own a copy at that kind of prices. Since then, though, this book has come back considerably, at least in sales. Now it is going consistently for 9.8 between $500 and $600, which is still a lot for a recent book that is a book isn't even 10 years old yet. It was the main cover. There's no other key about it other than this cover. So a $500, $600 book is huge. Although the current listing for 9.8 that I could find was, current listings were all right at $700. Raw copies have come back considerably from when I was looking at them a year or so last fall, as I was potentially wanting to grab this book. They're now going for more in the $100 to $200 range, depending on condition. Although most of the listings are more like $150 to $250, so there is a little bit of a disconnect there. Not a huge one though, but yeah, people are trying to get as much as they can for them, which is no realistic. So this book has come back to a little bit more attainable level if you're still trying to get it. But just a gorgeous cover, and people love it, and I don't expect it to ever truly drop very much more than where it's at right now. So that is Detective Comics 880, number 3 on our list. At number 2 on our list is another appearance of the Winter Soldier. This is Winter Soldier number 1 from volume 2, and this is the printer error. This was an error comic that has 9 pages of Venom in it instead of Winter Soldier pages. This apparently is a very hard to find error. There's not a lot of them out there, it doesn't appear. I could only find 3 listings currently with it and only 1 sale over the last several months. Back in December, raw copies were going for $200 plus. It is not sustained, despite being super rare, it is not sustained that kind of value. The only sale recently was for $40. Now the 3 listings were all for $100 plus, but like I said, they've been sitting there for a while. They're not moving. The only slab sale was a 9.8 that's been recorded on Go Collect was for $225, and that was back in March. So this is a book that there's not a lot of them out there, but it hasn't sustained that crazy price that it had back in December when people first discovered the error. So another one of those where if you'd been patient, and even still patient, you might be able to track it down. But me, I'm not a big one for error books, but if that's your thing, this book is a little more attainable now than it was back in December. And finally, at number 1 on our list is Spider-Woman Alpha number 1, the Stacey Lee 1 in 25 variant. And this was a direct result of the release of Into the Spider-Verse. Right after that movie did big numbers right off the bat, it was a hit, and news came out right off the bat that there was going to be a sequel and a spinoff, and the spinoff was going to include these 3 characters: Spider-Gwen, Silk, and the original Spider-Woman, Jessica Drew. And this book spiked, which is weird. It spiked kind of more than Silk or Jessica Drew's first appearances did from that announcement. This book took off. It's a really cool cover. It's a nice incentive. Back then, even the regular cover of this book was going for $25 to $30 raw, but 9.8 of this variant were going for $500 plus. Since then, the regular cover has dropped back to $5 to $15. The variant has dropped back 9 as well. 9.8s are going more in the $350 to $450-ish range. They're a little all over the place, but that's kind of the range they've been typically going for. Although there was a recent sale for $500 mixed in there where somebody just kind of overpaid. But it's easy to do because the only listed 9.8, if you really want it, was listed at $750. This is another one where the listings haven't matched the fallback that's happened in terms of buying. They're still listing it kind of for those prices it was going for December or higher, whereas they're not selling for quite those prices anymore. Raw copies currently are going for $125 to $150, but the listings there range from $180 to $250, all the way up to $400 for raw copies of this book. So this is still kind of a tough book to find in terms of finding a good price for it. But they are out there if you really want this book. It is a cool cover. It is kind of a cool group or team, and we know there's a movie coming. It's a little more reasonable now than it was back in December. So that is our list for this week. Like I said, we had several solid first appearances. We had Batman Who Laughs again. We had the Winter Soldier. We had Shuri as Black Panther. We had Adam, the Legend of the Blue Marvel. We had a couple of cool covers, and Darth Vader number 25, Detective Comics 880, X-23 number 7, and we had an Air. So we had several books in here that have some value, a couple books that maybe not so much. So once again, thanks everybody for watching, and we will catch you next week with another look back at the CBSI Hot Top 10.